Hey guys, how's everyone doing? Today I want to do a quick video on what exactly trading is and what you guys need to be doing to extract as much money out of the markets. The reason I'm not doing a trade recap today is, as you can see, today was New York bank holiday, so I was like, let me still drop a banger. I think this is probably the most important video for anyone to watch before they start trading. I think trading, there's a really big misconception in trading. People think taking a trade in the markets is equivalent to just going to the casino and gambling. I think the reason everyone has this misinformation is because there's a lot of people out there like that aren't willing to take a risk, and it's the same thing with anything. A lot of people would rather be in a 9 to 5 instead of starting their own business because there's a chance of losing money in a business, but there isn't a chance of losing money if you're just in a stable 9 to 5. But I'm not saying there's anything wrong with a 9 to 5, but I'm just saying I'm personally not built for like that type of lifestyle. I prefer my freedom a lot more than I care about the money and the stability and being able to flex a title, being like, oh, I've got this job, I've got that job. I think to me, the most precious thing is having full control of my time, doing whatever I want, whenever I want. I don't need to wake up to an alarm every single day. I don't need to do this, that for someone else. Cool, let's get into it. So, before I get started, I think for me, I think I was quite lucky because I already knew someone that was profitable and making money from the markets. I feel like if I didn't know someone, I would have already stopped trading. I would have thought it was a scam as well. But if you can physically see someone pulling money out of the markets, and I'm pretty sure there's a lot of very trustful traders out there, such as the PB guys, I'm pretty sure, and then TJR as well. But as you can see, they're literally pulling it out of the markets, that money. They're not something special. You can definitely do it as well. But the thing that changed my mindset on trading the most was this chart exactly. So let me explain this chart. So I'll go over what an RR is because I've targeted this video towards new people. But as you can see, just briefly looking at it, there are some trading models where you need to be right 20% of the times. So imagine you take 10 trades, 8 of them are wrong and 2 of them are correct. You can still make money, which I think is absolutely insane. If this isn't the most eye-opening chart in the whole world, like, I don't know what is. And this makes you realize that trading is actually not that difficult. You can literally be right 20% of the times and you can still make money. Well, which ones you pick from here and up here totally depends on you. So it depends on your risk tolerance, how you like to trade. So for me, I'm more on the up side of the table. So I stick to 1-to-1s and 1-to-2s, or 2-to-1s on this table. I don't know why it's backwards. That means I only need to have a 50% or higher win rate for me to be profitable. So what I like to do is I like to pocket pick, like I like to pick very specific trades that are extremely high probabilities, but my RR isn't that high. And let me explain this table to you for a second, okay? And what I'm going to use, I'm going to use this 2-to-1 example, okay? Now you might be asking me, what does 2-to-1 actually mean? So when you're trading, you can enter two positions. You can either enter buys or you can enter sells. And I don't care what anyone tells you. I think the most important thing in trading has to be risk management. And risk management is essentially how much you're risking and how you are risking your money. And I'll tell you why exactly that's important. Alright, cool. So as you can see, these are two positions. This is a buy position and this is a sell position. So if I wanted to enter a buy right now, I could enter right here. What essentially that means is I'm betting on prices wanting to come higher. What that means is if price crosses this bottom line, that means whatever I've decided to risk, for simplicity, let's just say I've decided to risk $100, okay? So if I've risked $100, that's me saying if this goes below this line, that means my trade is invalid and I'll lose $1,000. I mean $100. So I'm putting it into extremely simple words. But what you've noticed is this profit part of this trade is twice as big as the stop part. What that means is for every $100 that I'm risking, I'm trying to make back $200, okay? So essentially, this is what a 2-to-1 risk means. That means for every $1 I'm risking, I'm expecting to make double. And from that table that I was showing you guys, as you can see, there is You can go for 1 to 5, 1 to 4, 1 to 3, obviously depending on what your risk is. So what a 1 to 5 would look like is for every $100 you're risking, you'll be making $500. That is why you need to take 5 losses in a row to wipe out 1 day of profits. Does that make sense? I think that should make it like, that is how RR and win rate works. And now let me show you guys why it's so easy to actually trade. Okay, cool. So let's just say, yeah, you're a very horrible trader. And by horrible, that's what you might be thinking. So what do you guys consider as horrible? I think a lot of newcomers or people new in the trading space, they want to be right as much as they want. So they would want a win rate that's like 100%. But that's just not realistic. I think that is an expectation you guys need to get out of your mind. We do not have the same information that banks have. We do not have all this insider data, insider trading data. Unless you do, but don't tell me. But we don't have all that information. So we need to count ourselves at a disadvantage. So there is no way we'll be as good as the banks. But can we make more than someone who works at the bank? Absolutely. Because you get to keep 100% of all the money you're making. But the bankers, they need to share it with the banks. Do you understand? That's the best part of having your own business model instead of working for someone else. So let's go through this, okay? Let's say you're a 1 to 2 trader, okay? And you have a 50% win rate. So you fall between this row and then this column. As you can see, you're profitable. Let me show you guys why you're profitable. Okay, let's say you're a trader who has taken 10 trades this month, okay? And you have a 50% win rate. That means you have 5 losses and 5 wins, correct? So let's just visually represent that. So let's just say on the first trade you took a loss. Let's say on the second day you took a loss, okay? Which is totally fine. No trading strategy has a 100% win rate. So when you're losing and you know your strategy works, you need to realize that this could be the other 50% of your win rate. This could be the losing 50%, and you need to be able to have the stomach to handle these losses. But let's just say on the third day you win, okay? So on the second day you win $200 actually, because remember, for every loss you're risking $100, but for every win you're risking 1 to 2, so you should be getting twice the profit back. Let's just say you had a really bad week, so even on the third day you lose. So for most people, they get really discouraged at this stage. They're like, oh my god, I was about to make my money back, I almost made it back and now I lost again. But it's just part of the game. Can I just copy and paste? Did I just paste? Oh, perfect. Okay. So let's just add a few more losses. So we have 1, 2, 3, 4, 5 losses. Okay. 1, 2, 3, 4, 5. Okay. So that means if you have a 50% win rate, you need to add back those wins as well. So now you have 1, 2, 3, 4, 5 wins. And I know I should have spread this out a little bit more, like this or something, but you get the point. You are going for a 1 to 2, so every single time you lose, you lose 100. Every single time you win twice as much, and you've taken 10 trades. So that's 1, 2, 3, 4, 5 losses, and 1, 2, 3, 4, 5 wins. Now, if I just take out the calculator quickly, you can do this maths easily in your head, but I'm trying to make it as simple as possible. Let's just say on the first day you lose 100. On the second day you lose another $100. On the third day you make $200. So you're back at break even. Over here you might be discouraged. You'll be like, I've taken 3 trades. I'm so down. This is depressing. Trading is a scam. But no, you have to keep going. You have to trust your strategy. Minus 100 again, you lose. Minus 100 again, you lose again. But then you make back $200. So you're back at break even. And then you lose 100 again. So you see this P&L, it looks horrible. You haven't even been in profit once. But this is why you need to trust your process. Because as you can see, after that, we have 3 winning days. And this is 50% win rate at 1 to 2. Maybe I should have spread these numbers out better so it didn't look like it was in the negatives for so long. But let's just say these are all the trades that you took for the week, or for the month actually. You have made $500, risking $100. Let me get something straight, yeah? No one really risks $100, especially for 50k futures accounts. Typically, your risk on each account should be $350 minimum, in my opinion. Otherwise, you're just wasting your time. So if you're risking $350 on one 50k account, you've already made $1,750 on one 50k account, risking the least amount possible. Now imagine you're copying this over 20 Apex accounts. You've made 35k in 1 month, being only right 50% of the times. Do you guys realize how crazy that is? You were wrong half the time, but you still made 35k. Do you know how mad that is? Like, this is what you guys need to get around your head. First of all, you will never be correct all the time. Second of all, you need to kind of humble yourself and realize that you don't have the same information as these people working in these banks. But if you're still able to pull 35k a month, do you know how many years you need to be working at a bank to be earning that type of money? You know, you need to be working in private equity. I think those guys start off at 300k a year. If you're making that sitting on your little computer being right 50% of the times, do you know how crazy that is? Yeah, I think everyone needs to wrap their heads around this. And I think today's video is going to be a bit longer. There's a few more things that I wanted to point on or touch on, but I think that's totally fine, because as much as this seems as obvious as possible, there's a lot of people that fail to understand that they don't have to be right all the time. That's what I'm trying to touch at. Now, coming back to this picture over here, as I said, you can pick whatever risk tolerance you want. I prefer a 1-to-1 to 2.1 type of trade and 50% plus win rate. So I like to put more capital on the line, and I like to be right most of the times, which is totally fine. If I'm only right 50% of the times for my 1-to-1 trades, then I'll literally break even, and I don't even mind that, because one trade in profit, I'm up so much. Now, we've gone over this left side, so we've gone over the rows. Now let's go over the columns. How do you build a strategy that is a high win rate? And this is why it's extremely important for you guys to make sure you're following your rules, okay? Now, let me explain something to you guys, alright? As you guys know, there's a bunch of confluences out there. Let me list some of the confluences that I use. Before I enter a trade, I love to have an inverse fair value gap, okay? Before I enter a trade, I also like to see a sweep of liquidity. This is just this is giving me video ideas. I can't lie, I'm gonna make a video on this, but if you guys don't understand what any of these concepts are, search up T Trades on YouTube. He goes over every single one of these concepts. That's who I learned from as well, all these concepts. Not only does he make a really good video, he also shows you chart examples. Anyway, my third confluence that I like is a high time frame PD array. My fourth confluence is trade matching with high time frame bias. And then my final, this is not even my final confluence. I also like my trade matching with 15 minutes time frame bias. And the absolute last one, the last confluence I wait for, is displacement during, I can't even spell, my bad. Placement during, oh my god, IFVG. Okay, so these are pretty much my non-negotiables. If I don't see these things take place in the market, I won't enter a trade. And I'll tell you guys exactly why it's so important to follow your trading strategy, okay? Let's just say having an IFVG, so 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6. Okay, imagine having an IFVG. If you enter every single inverse fair value gap, so let's just say you saw this fair value gap inverse, okay, and you short right here, and you aim for like a 1 to 2. So you're risking $100 to make $200. Let's just say if you entered every single inverse fair value gap, your win rate is 10%, okay? And if we have a look at over here, let me put it right here. If you look at the chart again, 10%, sorry, 1 second, to sneeze. So yeah, if you look at this, if you look at this, 10% is not enough to be profitable unless you go for 1 to 6. But I'm using a 2 to 1 example, okay? Or let's use a 1 to 1 example. This is the trading since we're talking about my trading strategy. At a 10% win rate, I'm not profitable. I'm in the red. Cool. The next thing that I also use, actually, let me just use the copy and paste method. So let's just say if I enter on an IFVG only after a sweep of liquidity happens. I don't know if I'll be able to find an example. Okay, there we go. This one didn't work out, but I think that's just to show you guys. As you can see, we inversed over here. Oh, it did work out. And then like whatever you want to target. Let's just say if you see a sweep of liquidity and then an inverse fair value gap, that adds an extra 10% win rate. And then if you enter in a high time frame PD array that has an extra 10% win rate, and then if your trade matches with your bias, has another 10% win rate. If it matches with the 15 minutes time frame, that's another 10% win rate. And then if you have displacement in your IFVG, that's an extra 10% win rate. Sorry, I feel like I'm rambling on a bit much, but the point that I'm ultimately trying to get to is what I like to do is I like to combine all of these together. Now, you don't want to have too many points because then you'll almost never find a trade, because the more PD arrays and the more confluences you have, the less trades you'll be entering, because the chances of a trade forming that has all of these are lower and lower and lower. But the most important thing to understand is when I'm entering with all of these PD arrays combined, my win rate adds up. So if I enter with an IFVG and a sweep of liquidity, my win rate is now 20%. If I show you guys the charts, at 1 to 1, I'm still not profitable. But then if I add all of these confluences together, which is I have to enter with, I see all of these, which is 10, 20, 30, 40, 50, 60, suddenly I'm profitable. Do you see how easy that is? And I wish someone told me this before. And this is why it's so important to make sure you're following your trading plan. Imagine one day you're feeling a bit emotional because you lost some money, and you're like, you know what, yeah, trading is a scam. I'm gonna go and enter a trade, force a trade where I don't see displacement during an inverse fair value gap, and my trade does not match with the 15 minutes time frame bias. And that means I'm only following the first four. So that's a 10, 20, 30, 40% win rate. Suddenly, at a 1 to 1 ratio, 40%, I'm unprofitable anymore. This is why it's extremely important to follow your trading strategy, because the same second you start dropping some of these confluences, you'll stop making money. Like, you'll lose money altogether. Your model is suddenly not profitable anymore. You need to make sure you keep a clear head, still follow all of these confluences, and as long as you are following your confluences, so you at least have a 60% win rate, you are chilling. Now, the final question is, how do you figure out a strategy that follows all of these points and actually works? I think the most easiest way for you is to find a mentor that already has a winning strategy, that is able to show you receipts that he does trade this and he does make money out of it. There's a lot of scammers out there selling you all these dream trading strategies that don't actually work. I don't mind making a video on my trading strategy, but if you guys want, just go on to PB Trades. Those guys, that's basically like 90% of how I trade as well. Like, very similar. We both trade inverse fair value gaps and they take 1 to 1s as well. But there's so many strategies out there. The hardest part about trading is sticking to your rules, which is this right here. The reason people lose money is because, let's just say I decided to take a loss over here, okay? So let's just say I wanted to risk like this, and let's just say my risk got hit over here. I might be extremely emotional, be like, oh my god, I just lost $100 on my account that was meant to go towards my rent. I'm so cooked. And then I take a trade that, so I get impatient. I'm not able to wait for the perfect setup anymore. I only enter a trade that has the first three. And the first three has a 30% win rate, and there's a high chance that I lose this trade. Like this again. And then I'm down $200. And then it goes down in a spiral. That's how people lose money. And it's so important to understand that. It's important to be patient, wait for your setup, take the ones with the confluences that you know that work, so you're able to stay in the green. I hope that makes sense, but this should open your eyes that trading is not like some magical, crazy nonsense that only super smart people can do. You can be right 50% of the times and still make money. Do you not understand that? Is that simple? And one final bit, I know this video has crossed 20 minutes. One final bit that I would love to touch on is, for me, I only started making money when I stopped caring about trading. I'm gonna be honest. Like, I'm at the point now where in the UK, once it's 2:30 p.m., which is New York 9:30 a.m., I just ask myself, okay, this is another things that I need to get off my to-do list. I'm not sitting there like, can't wait to make money, can't wait to make money. I'm not sitting there like so excited about all this nonsense. Like, for me, it's just one of those daily tasks that's in my way that I have to get done. And that comes with time. I can't teach you how to do that, because with anything that you start in your life, if you have a new job, if you start a new side hustle, everyone's super excited. They have that like that romantic phase where they're like, okay, I've seen people make money of it, I'm gonna make it out the hood, I'm so excited. Everyone has that, and that's totally fine. But it's about making sure you get past that. If you take a loss, if you take a win, it shouldn't get to you. Like, I could make $20,000 tomorrow, and I won't, obviously I'll feel happy, but I won't let that boost my ego for the next set of trades. I might be like, this one what some people do is like, oh my god, I'm such a crazy trader, I hit that crazy trade, now I don't have to follow my rules, I won't enter on these last two because I'm that sick, I'm just that guy. No, stick to your rules, humble yourself, and make sure you keep your win rate up for your RR. But yeah, that's the last thing I wanted to touch on. I hope this video is helpful. I think, in my opinion, understanding this before you learn any strategy is the most important thing in the whole world. And trying to numb your emotions out of trading. If I take a loss here, I don't really care, because I know as long as I follow these confluences, and as long as I'm right more than 50% of the times, that is okay. And the fact that my strategy has around like a 70% win rate, I do know for every 10 trades I take, 3 of them are going to be losses. And I'm happy to accept that. Some people see those 3 losses and they think they're doing something wrong. And then what they do, they're like, you know what, this isn't working, let me delete this. And replace it with something else that doesn't work with the strategy anymore. But no, stick to your strategy. Losing is part of the game. You need to get that through to your head, okay? But yeah. Anyway, I feel like I've rambled on a lot. I'll let you guys get back onto the charts, do some practicing. And one final bit of advice is this: watching videos does not help. I think videos like this are important, that help you get towards the right direction, but watching someone else trade, watching other strategies without actually practicing is useless. I'll use 2 examples. Imagine basketball. Do you think LeBron became who he is and in the NBA by watching YouTube videos how to get good at basketball? Or do you think he went onto the court and practiced and practiced and practiced to get better? Of course it's the second. I think I heard TJR say this and it actually opened my eyes. You have to get onto the charts and practice every single day to get better. Same thing with applying for a job. Do you think if you watched a video, how do I get this job, that will help you get the job? No. You need to put the hard work in. You need to go for coffee chats. I know a few people that are living examples of this. There used to be people that used to work in the same workplace as me, and I've seen them put in so much work to try getting into a better job, and they've done it, and I'm so proud of them at the end of the day. And how did they do that? They did that by taking action. They went out, did the coffee chats, they did the applications, they did the networking to make sure that they get the job, and hard work pays off. If they sat at home all day doing nothing, not applying, not going for these coffee chats, not doing something that's uncomfortable, they would not be where they're at. Same thing with trading. Why does it have to be different with trading? But yeah. Anyway, rambled on for a lot. I feel like the only reasons I'm really make these trades is because the trades I can't even speak. The only reason I make these videos is because I love yapping, and it just gives me a way to yap. I don't even care if no one's looking at this, but or maybe one day someone discovers, yeah, this video is helpful. Anyway, hopefully tomorrow there will be a trade. I will be in the office tomorrow, so I'll be trading on my phone. If I do make a recap, it will come out quite late, roughly around this time, to be honest. But yeah, catch you guys later. Take care.